And we are back for another week of McFile Madness. Good to see everybody on a Monday night. We're back in the Batcave in honor of Ariel Bibas. That was last week, but we're still where the Batman hat in honor of that little one that was brutally murdered by Hamas and Gazans. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget that. This was not just Hamas. This was the Gazans. It is good to see everybody. I have got the elementary, my dear Watson, the do you understand what's coming out of my mouth? I've got the what did he just say lined up. Going to be a wild night tonight. We've got a lot of crazy stories. Just going to be me tonight. We were hoping to have Leslie Millweed. We've had some crazy stuff go on. I will mention this. Dan Glovac, we got a dear friend of ours. Y'all have heard Dan before. Dan's got a dear buddy out in Texas that was swatted. 15 conservatives have been swatted over the last week or two. Cat Turd. I know some of you are on X, and Cat Turd was swatted. Cat Turd, I don't know if you're listening tonight or not, but we sure would love to have you on our program. I'll even put a Groucho Marx outfit on you and put those cat whiskers on you so nobody will know who you are. We've got a mutual friend. You may not realize that. I'll just leave it at that. But anyway, it was sad to hear what had happened to a lot of these people. Dan's got a dear friend, a podcast host out in Texas. We're going to probably be coming on each other's program soon. He's going to come on this one. We hope to have had him on tonight. We were going to bring him and Dan, but they couldn't do it. Leslie's late working, so it's just going to be me tonight. Get to run my mouth. Our dear friend Juanita Broderick was one of those conservatives. Night one, 3 pizza guys showed up with pizza that she didn't order. If I'd have been Juanita, I'd just taken the pizza and then called the cops, But she did the smart thing. She called the police. I think they ran. They didn't even leave the pizza. And then the next night, a whole full-fledged SWAT team, police officers showed up. And I know some of you asked the question by email, what's swatting? It's basically when somebody calls in a fake threat about you. I know this because somebody did it to me back in 2019. They claimed I had a gun to my wife at the time's head, and family member, my son. It was mainly my son. They said I've got a gun to his head, and if I see a cop, the text that they sent to the Knox County Police Department was literally, if I see a police officer within 2 feet of my house, I'm going to shoot him. So we had been on a show. It was on a Wednesday night. It was cold, rainy, dark, and I don't know how they knew anything about me at that time. We were just getting started. We were just probably not even a year old, and there wasn't anybody in the house except my son that night, and it was just bizarre. It was absolutely bizarre. But the police showed up. I went to the door. Somebody knocked on the door. It was raining. And it was the craziest thing because my neighbor had told me he was coming over to pick up some clothes. He was working at a homeless shelter at the time. And I said, come on over. I got a bag of clothes for you I'm going to give to you. And I thought he had come over in the night. And when I opened the door, nobody was at the door. And then when I heard this loud voice that said, get out here now. Come out with your hands up. I thought it was a joke. I really did. I thought it was a kid maybe just pranking the house. We had that a lot. And there was a little duplex, and we had that going all the time. I did. And, it was nutty. So I didn't do it at first. I just stood there and stared out the door, and I heard it again. And this time it was a little bit more forceful. They said, get out here now. Hands up. So I lifted my hands up, pushed the door open, and when I came out, there was a automatic weapon pointed to my head on my right side. The police officer was in the bushes in the dark right by the door of my house. It was 4 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4. It was a duplex. It was a small duplex then. And then about that time, the second I walked out, about 8 cops walked out of the darkness with guns loaded, pointed right at my being. Chris went to the ground quickly, and I didn't move. And he said, "Do you have any guns in the house?" And I said, "No, absolutely not." And they said, "Just stay here." They went into the house. They searched the house. They had already went around back, went upstairs, downstairs, and they came out. And I was there on the ground for about 5 minutes, 6 minutes. I didn't say nothing. And I said, "Somebody going to tell me what's going on here?" And I'm trying to tell you what swatting's about. I don't want to get in all the details again. It's pretty ugly, but the police were scared. I mean, because when something like this happens, I mean, they could have been ambushed. This could have been an ambush by some nutcase. But they showed me the text that somebody had sent to the Knox County Sheriff's Department. And I guess in their shoes, they had to do it. And I said, "How did they text y'all?" I mean, these people went out of their way to text them. They had my address. They had, some details were right in that text. Some details were not. But they had enough details to make the police think I was about to kill my whole family with a gun. And, which I wasn't. But it was just crazy. It was just nuts. And, that was way back in the day, but it's not a good feeling. But 15 conservatives have been swatted. We're going to talk about it this week if we can get Leslie on, because she and Juanita are dear friends, and our dear friend Juanita got it done. The left's getting desperate. And when they start doing crap like this, and in my case, I talked to Brad about it because I'd known Brad a little while, and he couldn't trace it down. He tried his best to get some of his colleagues to see what they could do to look into it. Whoever these people were, they were good, and they used a burner phone to do it. And the sheriff's detectives came to my house a couple of days later. And they said, Mr. McDonald said, "We've got no idea who did this." And he said, "We've tried to trace the number back. It was a burner phone somewhere up in Michigan." And he said that could have been purchased down at your Walmart 5 minutes from you, and they could have gave him that number, whoever it was. So that's how dangerous this is. But the purpose of them doing that is they're hoping, whoever does that you're going to do something stupid. And boom, 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 boom. Because I can guarantee you, had Chris made any move, my head was coming off my body, because that gun was pointing. I mean, I felt it the second I walked out. He had that thing right to my temple. And I can't blame the police. I wasn't upset with them. They were just doing their job. But, so I know how it feels. Not a good feeling. Not a good feeling. It's an invasion of your privacy. It's an invasion of your life, because you can get killed. They call it suicide by police. And the crazy thing about that night, I had a black leather jacket on. And I had some papers I rolled up. I was on the show, and I had just stuck those papers down in my coat when I went outside, because it was raining and cold. And I'm thinking to this day, had those papers, if anything would have moved in my body, I was probably a dead man. I don't want to go through that again. That's why Chris don't give his address out to nobody. I don't think I remember giving my address out then, but they found it. So there's some people in this world, folks, that are not good. And they want to do people harm. And I guess we're not as relevant now as we were back then, because nobody cares about us no more. We've stopped being, I guess, a threat, or we've stopped being relevant. But our numbers are pretty good. I mean, actually, we've weeded out a bunch of crap and mess through the years, and it's okay. So it's all right with me. I mean, I hope they leave me alone, because I don't want to go through that again. But it's all right. We're good. But all I got to say, if you got something against McDonald, don't be swatting me. For God's sake. Just be a man. Don't be a coward. Bunch of feckless cowards. But these people are cowards, folks. They're nothing but cowards. These people that are burning Tulsa down, these people that are burning these Tulsa cars down, and these electric things, and these buildings, don't be a coward. Don't be a freaking coward. You got something against a conservative, be a man enough to deal with it face to face, a mano a mano. A bunch of feckless cowards. That's the left. That's the left. That's the left. That is the left. I get to play it for the first time this week.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
It's elementary, my dear Watson. I've been at McDonald South this week, so we're trying to switch everything to McDonald South, McDonald North. We're at McDonald North tonight. But we got a great show tonight, and we're going to take your questions here. I know we're on a little late. We got in a little late tonight. We sure are glad to see everybody, and we are wonderfully glad that you're here with us tonight, and we're going to talk about some things. We've got some video to play for you. Did y'all hear about old Pam Bondi tonight? I tell you what, Pam is she's meaning business tonight, and let's talk about that real quick. We've got a good crowd. Let me go to our newswire. I've got a couple of articles I want to read here, but first of all, I got to show you this. This is going to blow your mind. What a judge said today on the newswire. Let me come over here and web page it. We normally have these ready to go, but McDonald is on a Monday night. Judge Patricia A. Millett. You just got to love these judges. She's a United States Courts of Appeal from the D.C. Circuit by former President Barack Hussein Obama, said that the Nazis received better treatment under the Alien Enemies Act than illegal alien gang members recently deported by President Donald Trump's administration. She said there are plane loads of people. There was no procedures in place to notify people. That's the idea, Miss Millett. Millett told Deputy Assistant Attorney General Drew Ensign during a hearing on Monday, Nazis got better treatment under the Alien Enemies Act that happened here. Ensign said the government certainly disputes the Nazi analogy, and I do too. Listen to this.
Your Honor, I think this court's decision in IM versus CBP is instructive on this.
Am I wrong about anything I just said, factually?
Your Honor, I think it's incorrect that they couldn't have gone into court as the 5 individual plaintiffs.
No, but the point here was that there were plane loads of people. I mean, it's a class action. There were plane loads of people. There were no procedures in place to notify people. Nazis got better treatment under the Alien Enemy Act than has happened here, where the proclamation required the promulgation of regulations. And they had hearing boards before people were removed. And yet here there's nothing in there about hearing boards. There's no regulations, and nothing was adopted by the agency officials that were administering this. People weren't given notice. They weren't told where they were going. And they were given, those people on those planes on that Saturday had no opportunity to file habeas or any type of action to challenge the removal under the AEA. And you've agreed that 2 of those airplanes, people were removed under the AEA. Is that?
These judges make me want to puke. They make me want to puke. Let me tell Miss Millett something. Let me tell you, first of all, the way I look at it, folks, the Alien Enemies Act, that's exactly what it says. The Alien Enemy Act. You are enemies of this nation if you are here illegally. I'm going to put a poll question up tonight. I had this thought out today a little bit as I was coming home tonight, what we were going to do our poll question on, and I've got it right here. And I'm going to just ask it, and I'll ask this to you. Do you think illegal aliens have rights of habeas corpus under the Constitution? And it's just a simple yes and no question. You can chime in, and I'm just going to let you tell me what you think about it. I'm going to tell you point blank what I think about it, folks. Our Constitution does not protect you if you're here illegally. That in itself denies you all rights under the Constitution. Constitution was written for citizens. We're going to talk about this tomorrow on K-Star Radio. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely pathetic that these judges are complaining about the treatment that illegal aliens are getting under our laws. They're using these laws, folks. They are using these laws to manipulate our justice system. Of course, these judges don't help with the brain of a buffoon. Is there such a thing as a buffoon? Oh, a baboon. I'm sorry. There is a buffoon, but baboon, the animal. Buffoon, baboon, ape, moron. Oops, excuse me. Get in trouble for saying that. But a baboon has better brain functions than that lady does. Let me tell you this. The Alien Enemies Act was for the purpose of removing domestic enemies within and people that were usurping the government of the United States of America. Now, these QAnons are probably going crazy with this tonight, so I don't want to get into that little stink pot. But let me just put it to you like this tonight, on this Monday Night Madness, on this Monday Night Smack Down, Smack Up, Smack Right, Smack Left. The illegals do not have a right under the Constitution. Even Rand Paul is out there tonight saying that the judges are going to look at these cases individually to make sure their rights aren't being violated. I find that offensive. This is why aliens are getting free health care, and you're not. This is why aliens are staying at hotel rooms, 5-star hotels in New York City for free, and you're not. There are some veterans out there that are sleeping on the street in America tonight. They can't even get the government, the VA, to give them food and shelter, but yet we can put illegals up. We were doing this. We're not going to do it now under Holman. But this is what the judges want. And then you've got this idiot brain, cabbage for brain Boris that literally wanted the Trump administration to turn the plane around. These people were already on their way to El Salvador, the whole Trey Yarga gang, and he was concerned that their rights were being violated. So I ask you a simple question tonight. This is just a mano, me to you, we to people, to you to people. Do you think they have rights under our Constitution if they have come into this country illegally? I tell you where this is headed. That's the question that's going to be headed to the Supreme Court eventually. And if that Supreme Court, folks, says they do, I'm going to tell you something. It's going to open up a Pandora's box that we will not close. Even Trump can't close that. Because what that's going to mean that every single one of these illegal aliens can say, well, we got rights. You ain't going to just throw us out without a court hearing. And you know how slow justice is in this country. So they'll be able to stay. That's the goal of the left. They want him to stay. They want him to stay. They want him to stay. It's elementary, my dear Watson. So I'm just curious. But you can chime in on that. I got a story for you tonight, though. This is another story. Now, this happened just within the hour. At 8:40 p.m., we came on at 10 tonight. We're a little late. I want to come back over to my newswire, and we're going to be having a good time tomorrow. See, I can say a lot more on K-Star Radio than I can even see on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter tonight. But I'm going to let it all hang out tomorrow if Angeline don't fire me. The DOJ tonight. Oh, don't you love Pam Bondi? I know some of you Pam Bondi haters don't, but that's all right. Chris loves Pam Bondi. I think she's doing a pretty good job. Some of you think she can wave a magic wand and fix everything in 2 months. Of course, that's people that... I won't say what I was about to say. It's Monday Night Smackdown. I'm going to be sweet, be nice, be a kind-hearted soul. But the Trump DOJ invokes state secrets privilege. Interesting. Tells Judge Boras to stick it up his Berg. It will provide him no more info on deportation flights. Let me come over here and say something about that. Come on, screen. It was never any of his business to begin with. He's an unelected federal judge. He's a circuit judge. On a scale of 1 to 10 on the totem pole, with 10 being the highest, he's a -2 on the judicial totem pole. These judicial judges, and I ain't going to let Congress off the hook because I'm going after them next. Because Jim Jordan ticked me off tonight, or this morning with Brian Kilmeade. The Judiciary Committee is going to have a hearing to see how we can stop this. Jim, do you not think that the American people are sick and blanking tired of the hearings till we can puke? I am so sick of these Republicans. I love Jim Jordan, but I was like, Jim, please. This is what drives us crazy out here in America. you stupid Republicans and you RHINOs and you worthless, Republicans, you will spend 6 weeks to 6 months with a hearing. And these judges are going to run all over this country. When all it would take your blank sides to do, get up there, get a bill on the floor, and vote. Let these Democrats vote against this. Go ahead. Make our day. Make our day. Senate. John Thune, where are you at? Where are you at? Johnson, where are you at? Where are you at? All this talk. And look, Pam Bondi, to her credit tonight, she basically told Boris, it's none of your business. It's none of your business. It was never any of his business. But until a bully gets popped right in the face politically, I'm not advocating violence against the judge. But what he's doing, folks, he's putting this nation in danger. He literally wants to bring these people back into the country that was raping, murdering, taking over hotel rooms, basically doing the things that illegals do. Somebody on the media this week was making a big deal about the couple that has married 35 years and got deported. Well, guess what? They were here 35 years illegally. Do you not think in 35 years that they could have found some citizenship center to get their citizenship? If they really, truly wanted to get citizenship, they could get it. They could get it. So spare me the crocodile tears and spare me the BS and spare me this faux pas concern for couples that are being deported together. The family that breaks the law together gets deported together. Tom Homan pretty much said that before Trump got elected. The CBS reporter tried to trap him, and she said, well, what do you think about these families being broken up? And Trump said, it's okay, we'll deport the whole family if they're here illegally. Best answer of the 20th century. It's common sense, folks. It's common sense. It's common sense. It's called the rule of law. I'm not fussing at you all tonight. This audience gets it, but I'm mad as living hell at this stuff going on in D.C. tonight. And the Republicans have got just as much culpability in this as the Dems. When I heard Jordan tell Brian Kilmeade that this morning, I just like to puke. I said, Jim, are you joking me? What kind of hearing do you have to have? Do you not see what's going on? Have you not seen what's going on in the last 2 months? Do something about it. We don't care about your freaking hearing. I don't. I'm a little Batman fired up. Where's Jeannie Castellanova? Just for you, Jeannie, the first time tonight.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
This is what infuriates us out here. I talked about it today on our show. You see, Mia Love, the Utah congresswoman, and we send nothing but condolences to her family. We hated to hear about the brain situation. She succumbed to it this weekend. She's dead. She's one of the most ardent Trump haters, even though she voted with Trump quite a bit in Congress, but she was always out there as a Republican, trashing Trump, trashing the country, trashing anything Trump was trying to do, calling him a racist, bigot, everything, name under the sun. These RHINO Republicans, folks, they drive me more insane than the Dems do. Look, I know when Bernie Sanders gets on there, I don't get upset what Bernie says. I don't get upset what AOC says. Jasmine Crockett, she's a loon. Does it bother me? No, it don't. Because you know why? I expect this out of the Dems. I expect the Dems to be insane. I expect the Dems to push garbage. I expect the Dems to embrace abortion. I expect the Dems to be okay with transgenders basically reading fairy tale books to our kindergartners and our first graders. I'm used to that. You are too. There was a judge tonight. Do you realize there's a judge? We've got another story I'm going to show you here in a minute. She basically said that the transgenders doing that to your kids, folks, is the First Amendment right, and they got a right to do it, and Trump don't have a right to tell them they can't do it. That's where your country's at tonight, folks. That's where my country's at tonight. That's where my country's at tonight. But Jim Jordan, if you're listening to me tonight, please spare us the BS. I think we're about sick of it out here. I'm just sick of it. That burns me up more than these judges. Because, see, Josh Hawley let the cat out of the bag last week to Sean Hannity. He said, we can fix this real quick. And you don't fix it by hearings, Jim. You get out there and vote. Put a bill on the floor. Excuse me, folks, but it just... I think you're in agreement with me tonight. Can I get some fire in that house tonight? Can I get some fire in that house tonight? If you're with me on that, I think you get the point. Let me read this story before I lose my hat, lose my lunch, and lose my supper at the same time. The Trump DOJ tonight said it is exercising the state secrets privilege. An informed judge, James Bosberg, his name even sounds stupid, it will no longer provide him with any information related to deportation flights because it's none of his business. The Obama appointee has been grilling DOJ lawyers about the Trump administration's move to deport dangerous Venezuelan aliens under the Alien Enemies Act. Bosberg said Trump's invocation of the act to deport criminal aliens is incredibly troublesome and problematic. Really? And threatened the Trump administration with consequences if they violate his order in the future. On Monday evening, the DOJ had had enough and invoked the state secrets privilege. The executive branch hereby notifies the court, this is basically their blank you to Judge Boras, that no further information will be provided in response to the court's March 18th minute order based on the state secrets privilege and the concurrently filed declarations of the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Homeland Security. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi told the judge that the President Trump has plenary authority under Article 2 to remove from the homeland designated terrorists. It's elementary. Let me come back over here. Let me come back over here. Let me come back over here. That is just simply elementary, my dear Watson.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
He's got a right under his executive branch authority, given to him by the Constitution, by the way, that aliens don't have rights under. This is what is insane. This is what's insane about Boras's order. He's bringing people back in here, folks, that don't even have constitutional rights, but he's treating them like we are violating some kind of hate. And when I heard Rand Paul say this today, I was like, Rand, what the blank are you talking about? They're not entitled to habeas corpus. And I'm afraid that this is where this argument, folks, is coming down to. This, be with me tomorrow, K-Star Radio, KStarTalkRadio.com, 2 to 3 every day. Chris can do this without you seeing all my gyrations. I can scream into the camera on radio, and I can be... You just don't know. You just don't know. I can't do it. I can't do it on the McFiles. By the way, all you that like the duck outfit Friday night, thank you for the kind comments. I got nothing but kind words. I was expecting some smart aleck out there to say, you look like an idiot, McDonald, which I probably did, but that's all right. I enjoyed the duck outfit. I brought the bear hat home, but we will don the duck outfit again if I need to. I put it like this. Me wearing that duck outfit Friday night has got more sense to it than this judge does. And he does not have any legal right to do what he's doing. That's what infuriates me beyond no end. He's got no legal jurisdiction to do it. He's a pint-sized judicial circuit judge. And as I said, on the scale of authority, he's got about a 2. If that. So Congress, Josh, Jim, all you rhinos out there, if you are saying what you're saying is true and you've got the right to stop this, we don't need a hearing about that. You need to get off your candy backsides and do something about it. I think I can get an amen in the house on that. I think I can get an amen in the house on that.
Coming out of my mouth?
I think you do understand the words that are coming out of my mouth. I got some other stories, and some of them ain't good tonight. Some of them are not good. I'm going to come back over here to my news wire There's more to that story. All these stories are on our Telegram room, McFiles News Report and War Room. You can find us there. And let me talk to you about some other things that are happening tonight that are just, again, in the crazy world of America. Let's see here. I wanted to show you this right here about this judge. This is unbelievable what she did. We're going to talk about the lawyer that got killed evidently in her home, where she was found dead. But I want you to look at this. This is going to blow your mind if I can fire it right here. Texas A&M was going to block a drag show, and they had put a ban up on drag shows. But our lovely judicial system, if you don't believe the judicial system of America is messed up, but this federal judge tonight, we're going to talk about this tomorrow too. Man, we got a busy Tuesday ahead. But in a ruling that should outrage every parent, taxpayer, and conservative voter in Texas tonight, a federal judge has stomped all over the authority of the Texas A&M University Board of Regents, greenlighting a sexually charged, ideologically driven drag show to proceed on campus, despite the fact the campus banned it. Senior U.S. District Judge Lee H. Rosenthal, she's a woman, I think there's a picture of her right there. Take a good look at this lady. Lovely individual. That's the Draggyland Instagram page. That's the folks that we're going to perform in front of you, your college students at Texas A&M. She was appointed by all people, George H.W. Bush. Issued a sweeping preliminary injunction Monday that forces A&M to allow the so-called Draggyland event. And I'm reading this off the article, so please, we're not saying this to be disrespectful, but a campus drag show hosted by the, quote, Queer Empowerment Council, the QEC, to proceed in the Rudder Theater. This despite the fact that the Board of Regents passed a resolution explicitly banning such shows in taxpayer-funded venues. The Regents, supported by Governor Greg Abbott and President Donald Trump's recent executive order defending biological reality in federal policy, acted responsibly to protect female students and uphold the mission of higher education. This was about protecting women. It's amazing how these liberals, they claim they're all about protecting women. All about protecting women, except on stuff like this. Their resolution stated the obvious drag shows involving men dressed in exaggerated female garb and prosthetics often mock women, promote vulgarity, push fringe gender ideology on young minds. These are college kids, folks, 18, 19. You say they're adults. Yes, they are, but they're still young minds. Judge Rosenthal just threw all that out the door tonight, or this morning. She argued that instead that drag performances are protected, quote, expressive conduct, and that banning them is viewpoint discrimination. Now, mind you, did you notice that right there? I want you to, where's my whiteboard at? I want you to look at this right here. She does not say it's unconstitutional. She says that this is viewpoint discrimination, expressive conduct. Let me come back over here and say something about that. Again, Chris in his duck outfit, I could get on that bench in that duck outfit and make a better ruling than that. If it's not covered, the ban is not unconstitutional because it doesn't go against executive policy. President Trump passed an executive order here just 2 months ago that these kind of things are not going to be allowed in federal taxpayer venues. He's not going to finance it. So this judge says, blank you. All these judges are just saying blank you tonight. That's all they don't care. They're saying blank you to you, Texas. Rosenthal saying blank you to Texas A&M. There are some of you that may have kids at Texas A&M. You may not want your child watching that kind of thing, even though he's 18, 19, 20, 21. That's who the age group we're talking about here. Yes, they're adults. Yes, they got a right to choose. But let me tell you something. You're paying money. They're not going to Texas A&M to learn about Draggy Queen and Draggyland. They're going to college to learn about medicine and economics and law. And the Texas A&M football team sucks. But I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. But anyway, they don't. They're sort of middle of the road. But anyway, I had to just, it's Monday Night Smack. I had to put a little smack in there. But listen, we love you Aggies. This is the kind of stuff that's driving us insane out here, isn't it? This is the kind of stuff that's getting us under our crawl. Because, see, you can't even, our nation tonight, folks, is at a place that even doing something decent, we're trying, the people at Texas A&M, the college got it right. That college got it right. They said, we don't want this here. It's an offense to women. It's degradation to women. It's degrading to women. It's degrading to them. But this judge says, no, it ain't. It's vivid conduct. And if you're doing that, you're discriminating. Who are they discriminating against? The drag queens? Who are they discriminating against, Judge? Please tell me that. Please. Who are they discriminating against? They're discriminating against this left-wing loon bomb agenda tonight. And I'm going to tell you this. Look, I ain't got the spiritual part of this. This is just strictly common sense political talk tonight. I could go off on the spiritual 2 seconds about how much judgment is being stored up about this stuff being exposed and our kids being exposed to it and about this country allowing it. And these judges are going to stand before an almighty God to give an account for what they've done. They're opening a Pandora's box. This illegal alien thing, folks, is a Pandora's box. If these illegals are given any kind of rights under our Constitution, you're as good as giving them citizenship. You're as good as giving them citizenship without them getting citizenship. They don't have to go through citizenship to get rights. If that's what we're going to do, if we're going to say, well, they got rights under habeas corpus, you're as good as giving them amnesty. They don't pass go. They don't collect $200. They just come into the country and say, hey, we're going to stay. We don't care how violent we are. We don't care how many people we rape, kill, maim, murder, assault. We got habeas corpus. And folks, you know, and I know, that ain't, you know what that means. They're going to be stuck in these courts for months. And what damage and what lives are going to be lost during those months. And some of them won't even show up for court. Some of them will take off and hide. Our country's in a mess tonight. Country's in a mess. Our country is in a mess. Did you hear about this story right here? This is troubling, and we're following this. I'll put this one up. Well, that story about Rosenthal is on the X account tonight. Donald's fired up on a Monday night. This was weird story. This was this afternoon at noon. A Biden-era U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia was found dead over the weekend at her home. She was only 43. Jessica Aber was found unresponsive. The cause and the manner of death is unknown. There's the statement by the police. The matter of protocol, the medical examiners are still examining the body. And the identity of the caller was not released. Somebody called in 911 and told him to find her body there. That's weird. A friend of the family told NBC News that Abner's death could have been a result of a long-standing medical issue, and it's still under investigation. The weird thing that the Gateway Pundit is reporting tonight is that she's got ties. Here is the story that's sort of the follow-up to that. There's Ugly Hillary there. Right here, this is interesting. She was linked to very high-profile investigations into CIA links and Russia fraud cases. And this is out of the Alexander police. Here's the investigation. We just read that to you. And so forth. We're going to look at this. We're going to look into this more. it was interesting. The timing of her death was just 2 months after resigning, and amid her involvement in sensitive cases, it sparked discussion at least. Abner secured a guilty plea from an ex-CIA analyst, Asif Rahman, who endangered American lives by leaking top-secret documents detailing Israel's planned strike on Iran, which that should have never been leaked. And Abner rightly condemned Rahman's betrayal as a violation of his oath, his responsibility, and the law, emphasizing the grave risk such leaks pose to U.S. foreign relations and intelligence. The DOJ wrote in the press release, a former CIA analyst pleaded guilty to transmitting top-secret national defense information. This lady was investigating. This guy was 34. He was of Vienna. He was with the CIA since 2016, a top-secret security clearance. And there's more details on this. We'll put this article up tonight. But we're going to follow this story because this is very intriguing. And we'll see. We'll see what comes of that. Another story I want to show you tonight while I've got you. Someone asked about this Friday night, and I was going off the air. This was breaking. I don't know if you've heard about this. We've got about 5 more minutes. We're going to start taking your questions. I've got some video I want to play, but I want to talk about this story here. Chief Justice John Roberts. Do you notice somebody in that picture? There's 3 of those judges. Actually, 4, 5, all 5. Let me tell you what's got these 5 judges connected. Of course, Johnny J. Brown is the Supreme Court justice. Don't even know what a woman, couldn't define a woman during her hearing. Boris Berg is in the upper left. John Roberts in the center, Chief Justice. That's Beryl Howell, the lady with the glasses. And the other guy is Ari Ottman. I think I pronounced his name right. He's a Muslim judge. All 5 of those judges, with the exception, I should say 4 of the 5, except for Kajani, she's not weighed in yet. Even though she struck down, she was part of the 5 that struck down Trump's ability to stop U.S. AID payments. By the way, tonight, we haven't even got to this part. You realize that baby's 9 months old, we're getting checks of $100,000. We're going to play that video by Elon tonight. I wonder what a 9-month-old could be doing filing for USA payments of $100,000. Wow. Goodness gracious. I got a 9-month-old grandbaby I saw this weekend. Precious darling. She ain't even, is she 9 months? Well, no, she is October, November, December. Well, she's 8. She's getting close. That'd be like my Ansley Grace getting a check for $100,000. I wonder who filed that claim. Woo! $100,000. Anyway, I'll get to that in a minute. Johnny J. Brown was part of the 5 that said Doge can't do that. You can't stop those payments going to USA. Anyway, the other 4 have been directly involved in this lawfare against Trump since he's taken office. Beryl Howell has made rulings. The Muslim lawyer has made rulings. And Boris Berg, we've been talking about all night. We've been talking about him all night. Well, let me go back to this story because this is an intriguing little story we're going to follow. By the way, we got Angelina Orsini tomorrow night. We're going to talk with Angelina about this. Looking forward to seeing her. 8 o'clock. It'll be an early bird. We'll probably have a late show tomorrow night. We're going to hit you hard this week. We'll see you in Dayton over the weekend, but we're going to hit you hard before we go to Dayton. Investigative journalist Bad Kitty Unleashed. What a name. Reported on Thursday that Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts, it's Monday Night Madness, folks, come on, is involved in an invite-only club. Don't it just sound lovely? For elite judges in Washington, D.C. Isn't this peachy? The elitist club, American Ends of Court, also includes the radical American hating judges James Boasberg, Beryl Howell, Kajani Brown Jackson, and Amit Mehta. All hard-left judges and Trump haters, including John Roberts. Roberts has been the Chief Justice since September of 2005. Here's the officers. The Edward Bennett Williams American Inn of Court host. There's the honorable. He's not honorable. He's the president of it, Boasberg. Kajani Brown Jackson's the vice president. Mary Patrice Brown's the treasurer. This Amit Mehta, that's this guy upper right with the glasses. He is the secretary. Barry Boss is the program chair. Membership chair is Jeffrey Green. Blanche Bruce is a member. And Ellen Huvel is also a member. The Supreme Court Chief Justice is holding meetings with far-left district judges who are running a judicial coup on the current president of the United States. Just think, 2 days ago, last Tuesday, a week ago tomorrow, Roberts released a statement attacking President Donald Trump for calling on these same crooked district judges to be impeached. Go figure. And now we have evidence that Roberts was in an elitist group with these same judges. Go figure. Here is what Roberts said to the U.S. president who was under siege. He said, quote, "For more than 2 centuries it has been established that impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision. The normal appellate review process exists for that purpose." I agree with that. If you had a appellate process that was right in America and not corrupt, that would work. Bad Kitty Unleashed reported this on X. Judge James Brosberg, Kajani Jane, we just read you the list, Kajani Brown Jackson, Mehta, and Beryl Howell. And Roberts is the honorary bencher of the Middle Temple, whatever in the world that is. I have no idea what the honorary bencher of the Middle Temple is. Let me get my whiteboard out for this one, just in case you don't see that. It's this one right there. Honorary bencher. What in the world is that? The list includes some of the most soulless and vicious judges in the D.C. District Court. Wasn't it something else that Judge Roberts broke ethical conduct? Judges never said what Roberts said last week about justices ever. Stuck up for his big brother, Borisberg. Soros has funded a fellowship at Middle Temple where John Roberts is a master of the bench. Go figure that. So this is written by, who is writing this? There's Bad Kitty, by the way. That's their Twitter feed. I don't know if that's male or female. I'm assuming a female. Pee-Pee's grandma. I don't know. Look at that. Lord have mercy. I'm telling you, man, this stuff is crazy. This is why we call it Monday Night Madness, folks. This is why we call it Monday Night Madness. You can see this article on our McFiles Telegram room. And this is some of the flyers. There's Judge Howell. She's got a pretty good article here. And this was written by Jim Hoff. Jim is the founder and editor of the Gateway Pundit. So this is written by the top guy at Gateway Pundit. I encourage you to read this. I'm not going to have time to do it all tonight. We're going to talk about it this week on a radio show, probably a little bit. But this is so intriguing. That is absolutely mind-blowing that Roberts and this little elite gang, and again, what Roberts did last Tuesday night was unprecedented. There's never been a Supreme Court justice come out and defend the tyranny that he defended last week. And it wasn't by accident that just the week before, him and Amy Coney Barrett basically deep six Trump at the Supreme Court over this USAID. Now, I'm going to play a few videos, and then we're going to take your questions tonight. This time has gone by so fast. I'm so glad I had this time together to raise my voice and rant like hell. I'm so glad I ticked off the liberals. I got to think of something else to go with that. I'll write that song out. I'll write that song out. That's pretty good. I was making that up just as I went. I thought that was pretty good. That was pretty good. All righty. Let's talk about some video we got for you tonight. A couple of memes. By the way, this is Pam Bondi today about this fraud. Pam ain't too happy about the fraud, and neither is Elon. But Pam Bondi's the one with the teeth. Roll the tape.
As far as we're hearing a lot about fraud, waste, and abuse, a lot of waste and abuse, but there is a tremendous amount of fraud. And Elon, thank you for your partnership. Thank you for your team. You have uncovered so much fraud in our government, and we will prosecute you. We have an internal task force now working with every agency sitting here at this table. And if you've committed fraud, we're coming after you. Thank you, Elon, for that. On the violent crime level, thanks to President Trump's directive, we are seeking the death penalty again. So all of these horrible, violent criminals that you're hearing about around the country, they will face the death penalty federally within our country. And the drug dealers need to get out of here because we are coming after you. We're going to have 94 great U.S. attorneys around this country, and everyone will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Thank you.
Thank
Elementary,
you.
my dear Watson.
Your directive.
Elementary, my dear Watson. That is elementary, my dear
Elementary,
Watson.
my dear Watson.
Now, for all you Bondi haters out there, that don't sound like somebody's being ineffective to me. I think she pretty much stated what we're all feeling. Tell you what, you bring your fentanyl and you kill kids with your drugs and you basically sell dope and cocaine and kill teenagers with it. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. I'm all for it. So those of you who think Pam Bondi's the Antichrist tonight, the 666 and the B system, get some professional help. Get it quick. Please get it quick. By the way, this is what I've been screaming about all night. The entire U.S. Constitution was written for Americans only. Americans only. It's not the world Constitution. It's the U.S. Constitution. Non-citizens and criminals do not possess rights under this document. Folks, do you realize that if you get convicted of a felony in this country, as a citizen, you lose your right to vote? You can't vote. Not supposed to vote. By the way, under the Dem, I need to remind the Dems, if you're dead and in the grave and they've got, like, dirt on you and you're 6 feet under, you're not supposed to be able to vote either. But somehow or another, the Dems allow the dead people to walk the earth. It's not just Halloween when they walk the earth. It's election night. It's amazing. You need to take a screenshot of that. Send it to your liberal friends that are telling you that we're just being so inhumane about these illegals and we're just treating them worse than Nazis. We're just treating them worse than Nazis. It's just a weird Monday night mood. Here's Donald Trump. He chimed in on Mr. Brosberg tonight. He says this judge, can you that face? That man just looks weird. Just looks wicked. This judge is almost as conflicted, actually not even close. Gotta love Trump. This was tonight on True Social. As the judge, it's Marshawn, whose daughter made millions of dollars representing the Biden-Harris campaign against me, while her father, Marshawn, presided over a fake case against me and refused to recuse himself. He should be disbarred. As this one should be disbarred. Crooked Alvin Bragg was the DA in the case. They put me under a gag order so that I could not talk about it. Miscarriage of justice. Miscarriage of justice. Yeah, I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that. By the way, you folks in America that think we're so cruel and we're just so terrible, I want you to look at this video tonight. I can't remember who posted it. This is what Poland and how they handle the illegals coming through their gates. Roll the tape. There's no sound. I want you to watch this. I want you to watch the people. They're coming through the gate. There's no sound on it. So watch this. Just watch this. This is how the Polish government handles illegals coming across their border. Here comes the cavalry. And, yep, in about 5 seconds, they're on their faces with their hands behind their back in handcuffs. Guess what? That's as far as the illegals got. Because Poland's, no Polak jokes, because the Poles enforce their laws. America could learn something from the Poles. Mayorkas could have learned something from the Poles. Tom Homan is trying to restore that. By the way, speaking of good old Mayorkas, did you hear about this one tonight? Trump is not taking any prisoners right now. He just revoked. This is just tonight. This was just 4 hours ago, probably around 7 o'clock tonight. He revoked the Secret Service protection of former DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Good! This is according to Nick Sortor. The traitor sold out our country to the cartels, so taxpayers should not be paying for his security. Where's my... I think that deserves this again.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
Elementary, my dear Watson. Now, charge him with treason for aiding and abetting. There's more to that. I'll agree with that. He aided and abetted our enemies. So good for President Trump. That's how you handle illegals. That's how you handle illegals. And we should learn from that. Here is, I think, where is this? Is this Elon here? This is Elon talking about the kids getting money as young as 9 months old. Any of you 9 months old, any of you got any 9-month-old babies out there and you've got a $100,000 check, please let me know how they did that. Because I'd like to pose as a 9-month-old. If they're going to send me a check like that, I'll act like a 9-month-old on the show anyway, so I might as well get some money for it, right?
A clear case of fraud was with the Small Business Administration, where they were handing out loans, $330 million worth of loans to people under the age of 11. I think the youngest, Kelly, was a 9-month-old who got a $100,000 loan. That's a very precocious baby we're talking about here.
We're tackling the fraud, waste, and abuse in the agency. We've seen hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud go unprosecuted, so we're taking that on. We have a zero tolerance policy for fraud, and we continue to crack down on it and make sure people are held accountable.
It's amazing. And you have a lot of that. We found far too much of it. It's a pure fraud. We like to use the words waste and abuse because they sort of sound good, but many of these things are pure fraud. Now, there was a contract that you've heard about where Stacey Abrams got $2 billion just before we took over, and it was a...
And they cut that out, by the way, tonight. That $2 billion ain't going to Stacey no more. No, but Elon just confirmed what we shared with you a while ago, that a 9-month-old got a $100,000 loan. I'm sure that 9-month-old is going to be paying that money back. I'm sure you're going to hold your breath and expect that money to be paid back by a 9-month-old. I'm going to call my son up tonight and say, hey, check with Hensley and see if she's got any checks from the government in her name for $100,000. Tell her to pay her tithes to her granddaddy. That's all I ask, is just pay tithes on that. Listen, that's why they hate Elon Musk. That's why a lot of stupid Christians are out there posting 666 on him and horns on him like he's the devil. And you've got the Democrats screaming up and down he's going to twist the Constitution and try to run for president. This is why the people are freaking out. Can we not just appreciate what the man's doing? I don't care about his religion right now. If he was running for the pastor of America, I'd be a little concerned. He's not. He's finding things like 9-month-old getting $100,000 of your taxpayers' money. Can we not just have some common sense for about 5 or 10 minutes in our nation? Can we? Can we? Probably not. Probably asking too much. Probably asking too much. By the way, what is it about liberals, and have you ever seen any conservatives tearing down Biden-Harris signs? I sure haven't. But boy, I see a lot of this. Let me play that again. I just don't get it. Does she think that sign is feeling that? Does she think is it making her feel better? That's America for you tonight, folks. That's a Monday night. Man, there's a few more, and I'm going to take your questions. I want to let you just go for it. I'm going to let you go for it. By the way, this is interesting, and I know Cleo may be in the house tonight. This is the Orthodox Greek bishop basically telling Trump he's Constantinople. Watch this. This is interesting.
Through your leadership, you embody the values of our Christian faith and love for the gospel. You remind me of the great Roman emperor Constantine the Great. This emperor, your dear Mr. President, is the one who founded and built the magnificent city of Constantinople, my birthplace, known today as Istanbul. It is my great honor to present you with this holy cross. This cross is the very symbol that led this great Roman Emperor Constantine to victory. As Christ revealed to him in a vision, he said, "En tuto nica," told the emperor, means go with this and be victorious, Mr. President. This cross is an everlasting symbol of peace and an invincible trophy, a sign of divine strength and guidance. With this cross, I pray you bring peace to the world and make America invincible.
Interesting. We're going to talk about that later this week. It's an interesting thing. But look, I want to just say this about the video. I know there's going to... I can almost see it. I can almost see it. Hang on just a second. Let me make sure I get my glasses or I'll be posting stuff I won't even know what I'm posting without seeing my glasses. Look, we got a very vibrant relationship with Greece. It's a sign of honor. Please don't start letting your Q buddies and your crazy nutcase people out there that get their feathers in a wad over the least little thing. If Trump's wearing a purple tie, there'll be people out there tomorrow claiming that Trump was wearing that purple tie to signal something, or Trump or the bishop was in the White House to signal something, and all this crap. It's a sign of honor, folks. And what he's basically saying, look, I've got my own thoughts about Constantine. One of the worst things that ever happened to Christianity was it became the accepted religion of the world, because what happened, the church became in bed with the state. But that's a spiritual matter. The honor matter, the idea that at least other nations are recognizing the fact that President Trump's trying to protect faith. I had a conversation with my cousin tonight coming home, and we talked about this very thing. And I just saw the video when I got home tonight. I didn't even know the video was out there. But I talked to her, and her mother was my mom's sister, and we are very close. And I told her, I said, Mel, I said, people hate Trump. The Christians hate Trump more than the world does, just about. I said, I see more crap posted by Christians that are anti-Trump than I do even the left. And we were just flabbergasted. She was flabbergasted about it. And I said, do these Christians not realize that what he's doing, one of the greatest things that he's doing for the church is protecting faith? And I just found the reason I played the video, I found it astonishing that a foreign bishop, a Greek Orthodox bishop, recognizes that President Trump is protecting faith. He's trying to, even if he has to take us kicking and screaming. And the very people that he's trying to protect so they can post their stuff and post their craziness and worship whatever God they want to worship, the very people that are trashing him don't realize that they came this close in November to having somebody in power. There would have been no faith being able to be posted tonight, folks. I probably wouldn't be on the air tonight. I ask it again tonight, folks. Can we not just have some common sense in America and in the church for about 10 blanking minutes? Can we not just have some common sense return to our thinking and us being sober-minded? Can we? You say, well, Chris, you're just naive, and I've been told that. You're just so naive, and you don't see the bigger picture. Oh, I see the bigger picture. I see it. I see a bunch of people with attention deficit issues because they want attention and they post this stuff. And then, again, we've got nations out there tonight and people that are losing their faith, folks, not just their faith. They're losing their life. I worded that wrong. They're losing their life because of their faith in nations that don't honor Christianity, and they would just as soon see Christianity go away. And the very people that should be grateful that you got a president that at least is trying to protect faith. And we can't be happy about it. We got to call him the Antichrist, call him 666, call him the beast system. Sober-mindedness. I told my cousin, no, it's a cousin, it's just mind-blowing. I said it's mind-blowing. And she'd seen the same thing I'd seen, and we didn't see the video. I didn't see that video before I played it tonight. Now, you ain't got to agree with that. Some of you still drawing horns on Trump as I speak. You got a picture you're going to post tomorrow with his horns and 666 written upon his forehead. And that video will probably be used by some of you. Well, I told you, look at that guy. He handed Trump a cross. Look at him.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
One more, and then I'm going to get myself out of trouble because I'm going to be letting you talk. By the way, this should also infuriate you tonight. Let me show you this. You can't hear that. I'm trying to. Somebody want to take a guess where this is at tonight? I'm going to ask you as an audience, where do you think that was at? Anybody want to take a guess? Anybody want to take a guess where that video is coming from? I'll let you put your answers in there. Where do you think that video is coming from? Burning the American flag and burning the effigies of Trump, Vance, Rubio, Musk, and Pam Bondi. Where do you think that came from? Anybody want to take a shot at it? I'm just curious. Anybody? Real quick. Anybody? Nope. Not California. Not the United States. Not Gaza. Nope. Nope, not in our country. Nope. Jenna, you're close. Jen is close. Jenna is close. Let me tell you. It's where we sent $350 billion to. I'm going to play it again. That's Ukraine. That was today. That's how grateful they are. That's how grateful the Ukrainians are for your hard-earned taxpayer money that they've extorted from us. They're claiming tonight, Zelensky's out there claiming that we're spreading Russia propaganda, that we're spreading Russia's narrative. He did that in a Time interview, but his lackeys, this is what they did today. I'm going to play it again. Lindsey Graham, not Bondi. Trump, Musk, Vance, Rubio. They even got the cross on Rubio's forehead. Woo! They're burning our flag, folks. Burning our president in effigy. Ukraine, all-rounder. Yep. That's the Ukraine. Burn in hell, Judas. That's what they're telling us to do. That's basically their blank you, folks, for the $350 billion with a B dollars that we spent. I got to show you this. This is Babylon B. One more thing, and I promise I'm going to give you a chance. I'm not going nowhere tonight. It's a late night McFiles. I'm so wired up right now, I could go to 1 o'clock. It's a good thing that I only have an hour tomorrow, because I would go 4 hours on K-Star Talk Radio. We're going to have so much to talk about tomorrow. Join me on that radio show. Chris is going to be raising so much cane, I'll probably get kicked off the radio. It's hard to get kicked off a radio station, but I'll probably get kicked off the radio station. Just wired up tonight. This is the Babylon Bee. You say, what is that building there? Well, the Babylon Bee has made a suggestion to Elon Musk that he put that sign over the IRS building in hopes in hopes that the Democrats burn it down. In hopes that the Dems accidentally burn it down, thinking it's a Telta building. All righty, I'm going to leave that up.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
All right. I've said my piece for tonight. Doug says, is this not a way to say thank you? Doug, it's a way to say something you, but it ain't thank you. That's their way of putting their middle finger up to America. That's pretty peachy, ain't it? That's just peachy. Calling us Judas. All we're trying to do is stop them killing each other. They've only got almost a million people dead on their side. The Russians have got 1 million on their side. Total carnage, total destruction. War is, and when you get down to it, Peter, or Doug, I'm sorry, it's not even about, I know it's territorial, it's regional. It's not even over somebody got hurt or killed. The First World War started over the Ferdinand or Archbishop of one of the Netherlands countries getting assassinated, and Germany and other nations. Russia sort of took sides, and we had World War I. World War II was we tried to stop a fascist government. We had a righteous cause for World War II. The Iraq War, we were trying to remove a sadistic dictator, and there could, be arguments for wisdom about that. We went to Afghanistan after 9/11. Wars, there are some wars that are worth fighting when you're fighting against tyranny. This wasn't even about that. And I know people would disagree with that. People say, well, isn't Putin tyrannical? Folks, when you start unraveling this onion, it's not just Putin. Putin's not the full bad guy here. I'm not saying he's the good guy, but he ain't the bad guy. And if that video, I ain't seen no videos out of Russia like that. I've seen plenty out of Ukraine. It's pathetic. Archduke Ferdinand. Yes, Peter, you're right. Thank you. Stephen, can Congress impeach Justice John Roberts? They can. They can. Peter, there ain't gonna be no new pirate radio. Nope. Just Monday Night Smack. No new pirate radio. James got that. James is a good guy. James is gonna be back with us soon. Captain Mack is fired up tonight, though. This stuff with these illegals are burning me to pieces. Burning me to my core. It's burning me to my core. But that's burning me to my core, too, what I just saw. $350 billion. Bye-bye. We won't never see it. We won't never see it back. Stephen, to your question, yes. The Supreme Court justices are subject to congressional impeachment, but it would be hard to do. You'd have to get a 66, it's 2/3 of the Senate. You'd have to have 2/3 of the House, 2/3 of the Senate. That's never going to happen right now. You're never going to get, you wouldn't even get 2 Democrats to go on. I don't think Fetterman would even go along with this. Not right now. He would have to do something far worse. Look, we're ticked off about it on the right, but you got to realize a lot of people out there tonight love what he's doing. A lot of people, even that on our side, if you call it our side of the right, they love the fact people are sticking it to Trump. I wonder how many Christians think that tonight. Good question, McDonald. Good question, McDonald. It's a good question, McDonald.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
It's elementary, my dear Watson. But to answer your question, absolutely they can. Geraldine, you said, why do they listen when the Supreme Court has already ruled on some of these issues? They've not ruled, Geraldine. That's the problem. They've not ruled on these issues. Stephen Miller has basically said this is one of the reasons why they're not as upset about it, probably as I am about it. I think it's basically judicial tyranny. But I think they are, whether right or wrong, and this may ultimately come back to bite Trump right in the backside, folks, because look, there's no guarantee the Supreme Court is going to rule on this the right way. I hear the pundits out there, Geraldine. I've been hearing them all week, heard it all weekend, heard it all last week. Every one of them are saying this is going to wind up in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court's going to knock the judicial people down. They're going to slap them down, and they're going to stop them from doing this. I wouldn't be so sure. I was shocked, honestly, at what Amy Coney Barrett did. And I know everybody's out there where she's being blackmailed and they're holding something over her head and all this. Folks, can we just stop the stuff and making excuses for these judges? Let's just be honest with each other right here tonight. You don't know that. You don't know that. Maybe Amy Coney Barrett wasn't, what I've been told about Amy Coney Barrett is this. On abortion, Trump picked her specifically for her stance on abortion. He knew that when push come to shove, if this Roe v. Wade ever made it before this court, and thank God for those ragtag Mississippians, a little ragtag army of Mississippians that saw the legal parallel of the Hobbs case and said, something, if this case goes our way, you've got no legal jurisdiction with Roe v. Wade. Same argument. And he put her on that bench strictly for abortion. She's not been 100% with Trump on everything else. In fact, she's been about 70-30, 60-40. So perhaps maybe Amy Coney Barrett's judicial philosophy ain't as conservative as we thought it was. I know we want to find a boogeyman. That's just human nature. Got to find a boogeyman. Oh, she's doing this because she's being blackmailed. Well, maybe she is, folks. You can't prove it. Prove it. If you got proof of that, send it to me. We'll show it. But let's just be honest. Let's stop the stuff and just believe that maybe perhaps these justices, we don't know how they're going to vote. Look, I look at Sandra Day O'Connor, folks. Sandra Day O'Connor was supposed to be a shoo-in to support Ronald Reagan for 8 years and support conservative causes. And Sandra Day O'Connor did more to harm any appeals. There were other efforts to take Roe v. Wade down through the years after Reagan was gone. Sandra Day O'Connor stood in the way of most of them. And she was his champion pick, first woman on the Supreme Court. Ginsburg may have been, I don't know. No, Ginsburg was Clinton. That's right. So she would have been, yeah. Sandra Day O'Connor was the first woman justice. And she was supposed to be a conservative, and she was going to toe the line for the conservatives. Folks, there's no guarantee that the Supreme Court, Geraldine, is going to hold the line on this. And that's why they've not tried it. A lot of these cases are going to wind up there. Look, this situation with these illegals, it is a Pandora's box waiting to be opened over this country, and we do not want to see them granted constitutional habeas corpus if they're here illegally. My personal opinion. And I got Judge Sherilyn Allen. We talked on, we texted this weekend, I should say, and she's coming on. Now I'm going to ask her. I'm going to get her opinion about it. I don't see how they've got habeas corpus. And if they're here legally, that's different. They're a citizen, that's different. We all got habeas corpus under the Constitution. So that's why, Geraldine. That's why. Peggy, they did give us the bird. They sure did. They sure did. And it is pathetic. It is extremely pathetic. Let's see what we got over here on Facebook tonight. We haven't checked in with our Facebook crowd. Corey Aguilar, what do you think the Trump administration texting war plans against Houthis to a group chat that included a journalist. Is it a hoax? Corey, I saw that on Gateway Pundit. I don't know. It may have been done by accident, but you know what's the bigger hoax is the media. They're trying to make a big deal of it. It shouldn't be a newsflash that America's going to bomb the blank out of the Houthis. They're basically shooting at our ships in the Mediterranean. It's not a war. And Trump's told them. Trump as good as told them. He's told Hamas, you keep this crap up that you're doing over there. You about to poke the bear? You know, I remember the movie The Breakfast Club. Some of you remember that movie. It was one of my favorite movies back in the 80s. I was a kid then, just out of high school. Loved that movie. So funny. And the teacher made the comment, you mess with the bull, you get the horns. That was a favorite saying of my dad's, McDonald families. You mess with the bull. Todd uses that. I saw him using that with his kids growing up. You mess with the bull, you're going to get the horns. Let me tell the Houthi something tonight. You mess with the Trump, you're going to get the horns. So, Corey, to your question, is it a hoax? No, he probably did get accidentally included. I don't know how that happened. Media is making more of it than they should. But so what? So what if he did? It ain't like it reveals that, you know, we've found the Lindbergh baby or something. At least it didn't reveal who killed JFK. It didn't reveal that JFK Jr. is still alive or anything like that. I'm going my tongue is on my cheek. See, my tongue is on my cheek. Anyway, thank you, Corey. Good to see you tonight, buddy. Really good to see you tonight. I'm glad you're out there. Well, Elaine, if the Dems are trying to make a big deal out of it, that should tell us right there that it's not a big deal. Anything the Dems make a big deal out of, it's not a big deal. And I think the American people are wising up to this. The Democrats are so much in decline. You know, Kennedy, I think I read the tweet last week. He said, let the Democrats be the Democrats. Why stop your opponent from kicking their own ass? And I'm just quoting him. Just kicking their own ass. So why should we stop them from doing this stuff? Let them make a big deal of it. That's all they got to make a big deal of. So what? I don't care. It ain't a big deal to me. If I was the Houthis tonight, I'd knock this crap off, what they're doing. They're going to be basically blown to smithereens because Trump ain't going to put up with this. I put it like this. He's not Joe Biden. You know, I heard, Alba, I can't think of her name. These names, I'm terrible with names. So when I misquote names, folks, just understand McDonald here ain't the best with names sometimes. But she was appointed the new U.S. Attorney for New Jersey tonight, and she told Hannity, she said, he was asking about Pam Bondi going after the fraud in the government. She said, this ain't Joe Biden's administration. She said, we don't bark with the Trump administration. We bite. I think the Houthis are about to find out, and Hamas is about to find out. We bite. We bite. I don't have the video with me tonight. I left it on the other computer. I want to say something to Bruce Pearl tonight, the head coach of Auburn. I failed to mention this tonight. I want to say thank you for standing up for Edon Alexander. That's the last remaining American hostages, of the hostages that we know that are alive tonight. There were five. 4 of them were presumed murdered. We hope to get their bodies back soon. But yesterday, when they beat Baylor, he went on the national television. Probably 100 million people were watching him. March Madness is underway, NCAA college basketball. I'm not a basketball fan, but I can watch it. It's fun. I love March Madness. Our Tennessee Vols are playing well. Auburn's playing well. I became an Auburn fan yesterday, honestly. I've never been an Auburn fan. I'm a Georgia fan. Kathy's going to kill me because Alabama and Auburn are rivals. But I'm actually, I respected Bruce Pearl. He gained a lot of respect yesterday. in my mind. He used to coach here. He was a good man here. I hated we left him. We lost him. And I still can't remember what happened, but we should have never let him go. And he's Jewish. 3 Jewish coaches in March Madness. And he got on television yesterday and he told the world, he said, we need to bring Edon Alexander home. And he thanked President Trump for his stalwart support of Edon Alexander. And I want to tell Bruce Pearl tonight, if you're listening, probably not, but if you are, sir, thank you for being a fine American and a fine Jewish American at that, and a supporter of Israel. He was on Brian Kilmeade this morning, had his Israel flag behind him, just like I got my USA Israel flag behind me. He's not ashamed of it. Neither am I. Way to go, Bruce Pearl. Anyway, Lane, you said we think we have wolves in the Pentagon. We could have some wolves in the Pentagon, but that is in every administration. That's in every administration. Dennis, you said, how do they pick a Supreme Court chief? Is that seniority? Dennis, that's a good question. Bush is the one that named him. I think the president at the time, Rehnquist had resigned or he had retired, and I think the president, when he named John Roberts, he was the one that named John Roberts the Supreme Court, because Rehnquist retired during Bush Jr.'s tenure in 2005. It was during his second term. So that's how they pick them. Thank George Bush Sr. or Jr. for that. You can thank George Bush Sr. for the Rosenthal judge that says the transgender queer shows are okay to do over in Texas A&M. All right, let me get this sound from vibrating there. Anyway, Jenny, you say all the hard work over the election and its achievements being undone by a rogue judiciary. Jenny, I'll agree, but I go back to this. If Josh Hawley was right, and we're going to get the judge, Sherilyn Allen, hopefully a week from tonight, we're going to try to get her on next Monday night. If what Josh Hawley said was correct, and I believe it is, that Congress can stop this mess, then it don't have to be this way. And I say that Jim Jordan again. I'm not a big. Jim Jordan's Jim Jordan. I've seen him do this before. It's a bunch of blather. Yeah, all that. I don't care about hearings. I'm hearing to death. I want to see Congress put a bill on that floor and strip this judicial circuit from doing this, because Josh Hawley said they can do it. So I'm with you, but I'm angry at Congress. My anger is not at the judiciary. I was expecting this. My anger are at the people that can stop it that are just sitting on their cans tonight. Good to see you, friend. I'll play one just for you, Jenny. Just for you.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
That's her. That's her favorite. Christy, you think Pat and Deb Dolan, good to see you. Do you think these judges should have lifetime appointments? I do not, Deb and Pat. I absolutely do not. And I think that it is the one area of our country that has always been the weakest, because you get these demagogue judges. I think that they should have term limits. Look, Congress should have term limits. I think, look, our president has term limits. You can't have a president running more than twice. Why is the executive branch the only branch of government that basically has term limits? And the judges are not elected. They're appointed. If they were elected, and there was an election every 4 years, and the people in their jurisdiction wanted them to keep serving, that's different, because that's how Congress is. Look, I want term limits for Congress, but ultimately we got to lay it on the voters. We got to lay it on the people that are voting out there. If these people are stupid enough to keep sending these people back to Congress, what can you do? Me and Dan Glovac have talked about that often, and others. Dan Jar's talked about it. We're a constitutional republic. The people vote who their leaders are. And if these districts, AOC, if those districts in New York want to put a bartender over them, Can't stop it. You really? I mean, we can be upset about it, but we can't stop it. Just can't stop it. These judges, if they're not elected, though, that's different because they're not elected. And I find it very troublesome that once they get on that bench, unless they die or they retire, and you know, some of them do it politically. I don't know if y'all remember this, and I think we had the story on here, but there was, I'm going to find the story for this week, but there were a number of federal judges, just like Borisberg, that were going to retire if Biden had won or Kamala had won. They had already made it clear they were retiring from the bench. And when they saw Trump win, they basically went out and bragged that they were going to stay on to do exactly what this judiciary branch is doing. That should not be allowed to happen. But it is. But your question about the Supreme Court, I do not agree with this lifetime appointment crap. I just don't. And it works both ways. I mean, this could go both ways because, again, you know, unfortunately, you're going to have Democrat presidents. I hope we never have one again in our lifetime, but the possibility exists we will. And you may have somebody farther left than Kamala Harris. I mean, look, they're talking AOC running in 28. You know, don't count Gavin Newsom's plans out. I know Gavin's got a lot of things to deal with, but don't count them out. Look, anything's possible in this country. There's been rumblings that Stacey Abrams may be running for president. There's rumblings that Michelle don't want it. I don't believe that. I think Michelle's waiting in the wings. But whoever gets in, what would happen, Pat and Deb, if, let's say, Thomas or one of these older justices, Stevens, of course, that'd be a wash, but if Thomas retires, there's rumblings he's tired, he's getting ready to step down, and an opening comes up during the time of a Democrat president, and they appoint somebody, that pick is stuck for life. But it works both ways. It's great when the Republicans do it, but it can also be bad when Democrats do it. And this is where government is. And I just don't think that either side should be able to put justices on there for life. It makes the court a little bit more dangerous because you could wind up with vacancies at the right time or the wrong time. And it's just the way our government is. I might as well say it, folks. That's why all governments have their flaws, including ours. You're never going to have perfect government until Jesus Christ comes back. You just ain't going to have it because we got corrupt people in it. We got corrupt leaders and we got corrupt individuals that are over it. It's a good question, though, buddy. Good to see y'all tonight. Really is. Good to see y'all. Always good to see you. RM, you said, thank you for reading our questions, even without a super chat. I don't know what you're talking about there, but we're reading your questions. We always read your questions at the end, but good to see you tonight. Let's see. Doug Rawls says, could not get worse than Harris now. Could it, my God, the thought of that. Doug, it could get worse. It could get worse. Can you imagine a bartender running our country? Can you imagine? Can you imagine AOC running the country? I can't. Let me say this to y'all tonight, though, and I know some of you are going to laugh at this. Do not underestimate the electorate of America and her charismatic personality. You know, some of you may remember Boogie Bumper from Down Under. Boogie was on our show back in 2018, 2019, and Boogie's not podcasting anymore, but he was with me on Periscope, and AOC was just coming on the scene. And he warned me then, and he warned our show, and people mocked him. People laughed at him. And he said, Chris, he said, you better keep your eye on her because she's sitting there with her Instagram camera up. She was cooking, pudding, cookies, cooking bakery things, baking, connecting with that young audience, connecting with her age group. And he said her future in this country is going to be big. And look, folks, if you're listening to the headlines and watching the headlines tonight, the Dem Party is saying she represents them the best. Don't be so unsure that she can't get in there, Doug. I'm not taking anything for granted right now. I think we better enjoy these 4 years with Trump. We better pray to God that a lot of things are put into place, that the country will be so happy at the end of these 4 years that they will not want to go back. But there is no guarantee that that's going to happen. God knows where we will be in 28. God only knows where we're going to be a year and a half from now in 2026. I'm concerned about this House. There's a situation developing in Wisconsin tonight, and even in upstate New York with the least Hispanic seat, there's a slight possibility that Trump may lose that House before 26 if people in Wisconsin don't pay attention to what's going on with this gerrymandering that's being done by the head of elections. Talk about that more this week. Don't have time tonight. All righty. Listen, we've been going an hour and 50 some odd minutes here. It is already 12:45. Did you enjoy the show tonight? You know, McDonald had the Batman hat on, had the We the People shirt on. I was fired up. But for good reason. Susan, I showed her the thought. RM, we don't charge for content. We don't charge for chat, brother. If you're a lady, sister, whatever. I don't know if RM stands for, but no, we don't charge. No, we take questions at the end of our shows like this. When we do news shows, even when we have a guest, we always take questions at the end. We got a good audience. We got a good group of people that's with us. And I am interesting to our poll. 128 votes. It's 128 votes tonight. 93% said no. Illegal aliens have rights under habeas corpus. 7% said yes. I'm very interested. If some of the 7% in the chat room, McFiles Forum at gmail.com, I want you to tell me why you think that. And I'm going to talk about it tomorrow night. May talk about it with Angelina. Orsini. 8 o'clock. And then we'll be on late tonight, tomorrow night, late show. Probably do the same thing again. We got a messed up world, don't we? Susan says, I can't fathom AOC. Susan, I'm telling you, Cedric's right. I wouldn't be laughing. I'm telling you, the Democrat Party's embracing it right now. Look, her and Bernie were out there in Las Vegas this weekend. Two most radical leftists in America, short of Beto O'Rourke. I talked about that today, how the black pastors, the biggest black pastor in Texas, and y'all know who he is. I ain't going to name him, but you know who he is. Bald-headed, just as Beto is almost. Put that picture up. Just thought Beto was the sliced bread of heaven. What's happened to the black pastor in the black church, I do not know. Because they were all in for Kamal. And don't give me the 501c3 crap. It has nothing to do with that. It's demonic, folks. It's a demonic spirit that's on these churches. It's not the 501c3. It has nothing to do with it. Again, we have to have a boogeyman. Instead of realizing the boogeyman is in us. I'll leave it at that. But there would be people stupid enough, Susan, I'm afraid, and I hate to use that word. I don't mean that lightly tonight. But I've seen this song and dance. I didn't ever think Joe Biden, in the state that he was in 2020, would ever see the White House. I had to come back on my show and apologize because I really remember saying that there is no way that Joe Biden will see the inside of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, and I never thought he would have, but he did. Chris had to come back on here and say, Chris was wrong. He did see the inside of 1600 for 4 years and liked to destroy this country in the 4 years that he was there. Literally running the country into the ground. So, what I hope never happens, I cannot promise you that it won't happen. Because we got a messed up country. All right, I'm going to end the poll at 128. I'm going to end the poll at 128. Stacey Abrams is not paying them off, RM. It goes deeper. It goes deeper than Stacey. It goes deeper than Stacey. It goes deeper than Stacey. I can assure you that. We're so grateful to have everybody. Good to see everybody over on Facebook tonight. Thank you, Tim. It is another great... Tim, I hope to see you guys in Ohio. Pat and Deb, Boogie Bumper's still around. He's just not podcasting. I talk to him every now and then. Every now and then we talk. He's still doing well. He's got a family now. I'll just leave it at that. I don't like giving people's personal business out. He's a good man, and I love Boogie Bumper. And we've had a lot of good conversations through the years. He's an Aussie. We love them Aussies. We love them Canadians. We love all of you. We love all of you. We love all of you.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
Elementary, my dear Watson. All righty. May the Lord bless you tonight on a Monday night. Soon to be Tuesday. It's 10 to 12. I got to get some rest. I got a busy day tomorrow. Join me in the morning. Faith Network. See you in the morning. Sometime around 9:30, 10. Hopefully about 9:30. Got a busy day tomorrow. We got 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. We've got kstartalkradio.com. We'll be fired up. We'll have the elementary, my dear Watson meme going by tomorrow. And then back here tomorrow night. Angelina Orsini at 8 o'clock. And the Mac Man late. And we may have a surprise guest tomorrow night. Who knows? We'll see what we can pull out of the hat. May the Lord bless you. Have a good night, everybody. Be blessed out there. Take care of yourselves. Be safe. Be safe. Put some fire in that house. See you tomorrow. Good night.